Welcome to another Coastin With Quayz coaster review. This is Mark, aka Quayz. This is the first brand new for 2025 coaster that I will be reviewing this year. I am talking, of course, about the Flash Vertical Velocity at Six Flags Great Adventure. It is safe to say that we've been waiting a while for this coaster. Originally, it was set to debut during the 2024 season for Great Adventure's 50th anniversary. It was pushed to 2025, but we are finally able to get on this Vekoma Super Boomerang. Modern Vekoma coasters are top-notch rides. I've been on a few other modern Vekomas aside from Flash, including the two coasters at Dollywood, Big Bear Mountain and Dragonflyer. Both are good rides. They are smooth and fun, but Flash is quite a bit different and is designed with thrills in mind, instead of families like the former. Before we talk about the layout, pros, and cons, let's take a look at Flash's stats. Flash is located at Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey. It was manufactured by Vekoma, has a maximum height on that spike of 172 feet. It features a vertical spike, which you go over 2 times. The angle of descent is 90 degrees. The overall track length is 1,430 feet, and there's a top speed of 59 miles per hour. Technically, there's only 2 inversions, but because you go over them forwards and backwards, it's 4. It just opened in 2025, and it has a minimum height requirement of 48 inches. So those little thrill seekers, this ride is for you. I was lucky enough to attend Flash's Media Day event and the promotional video shoot where I was able to get some rides on the brand new coaster before the general public. It makes me happy to say that Flash is a great ride. It is a huge improvement over the old school Vekoma boomerangs that have been cloned at countless parks. Although Flash is a simple ride, its elements are a lot of fun and they do not overly feel repetitive. The ride experience for Flash starts in the station as you launch slightly forward, make it partway up the first inversion, crest, and then fall backward. As you hit the LSMs in the station, you launch backwards up the vertical spike. After plummeting downward, you accelerate a third time over the station LSMs, and this time make it all the way through the first inversion in Immelman's stall. After some incredible hang time, you twist upright, hit a second set of LSMs, and enter a large double up. As you reach the top, you bank rightward into a twisting drop. From the bottom, the train hits another set of LSMs, rises upward into the second inversion, a 0G roll, and then climbs vertically up the opposite side of the spike. Once you reach the top, the train slows to a stall and then begins the backwards trip. While going backwards, the train enters the 0G roll and continues to build speed as it angles downward. You feel some positive forces as you reach the bottom, hit the LSMs, and then climb back up the twisting hill. The original double up now becomes a double down, and you get some airtime before getting some slight positives at the bottom. Next, the LSMs give you a final boost into the Immelman stall for a second helping of great hang time. Finally, the train falls into the station where you slow down to end the ride. Considering Flash is the first Super Boomerang in North America, I don't really have much to compare it to. That's okay because I don't need to compare it to anything to know that it was a great ride. When I compare it to old Vekoma boomerangs, it is no contest, and Flash stands far above those old coasters. Flash features some really great elements that I could see being on modern, full-circuit coasters, and that is why it is so much more interesting than the old boomerangs. Having a little bit of diversity in the layout really made the ride feel unique on the return trip. Simple loops and cobra rolls featured on traditional boomerangs make the rides boring and kind of monotonous, but Flash does not feel like that at all. There are 2 standout moments on the ride for me. I especially loved the stalled Immelman into the double up. You get multiple seconds of excellent hang time before plunging downward, and the hang time on the return trip is just as good going backwards. The double up after the Immelman provided a great little pop of ejector airtime in its first of 2 hills. The hill at the top does not provide quite as much airtime, but it transitions nicely into the twisted drop. Between the stalled Immelman and the double up, Flash provides a great 1-2 punch early on in the ride. Variety in ride forces or experiences is something that not a lot of coasters provide. Usually a coaster is devoted to a single type of experience. B&M inverts are all about positive forces. Hypercoasters are typically about floater airtime. Intamin Gigas focus on intensity. Hello, I-305. Flash provides for various ride experiences, and I love that about it. You get airtime in the double up, hang time on the stalled Immelman, positive forces in the valleys, and even some slight laterals on the inversions and twisting drop. Unlike traditional Vekoma boomerangs, the return trip while traveling backwards is different than the initial trip, and that makes things much more fun. The swing launch is a great way to start the ride with Flash. It provides an experience similar to something like a Premier Skyrocket 2. A great example of one of these is Tempesto at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. The vertical spike on Flash feels like a less intense version of the vertical spike on Pantheon. It's not quite as forceful, but still great. The first portion of the backwards journey also provides for some diversity. The zero G roll is angled downward, making it faster and more intense on the backwards trip. This moment through the zero G roll, up the spike, and then backwards even harkens back to a similar moment on the now defunct Batman and Robin the Chiller coaster that was at Great Adventure in the late 90s and early 2000s. The double up also becomes a double down while riding backwards. And although I prefer the double up due to the little boost of speed that you get right before the train jumps into it, the double down is still fast and fun. I love that the backwards trip feels different from the first half of the ride. As far as the cons are concerned with Flash, I don't have too many. Boomerangs will always have a certain level of gimmick in my mind, considering that they simply follow a single layout in two directions. Flash definitely suffers from some of that. You kind of know what's coming next, even though you can't see it. With that said, I think the layout of Flash is unique enough to make the return trip a lot of fun. Most of the elements seem to be designed mostly with the forward trip in mind, so I am interested to see if or how Vekoma changes the layout with future Super Boomerangs. My biggest con with Flash comes more from an operations standpoint. With only one train, the lines for this ride are going to be insane. The coaster community has raised this concern since Flash was announced, and I'm somewhat baffled that Great Adventure did not install a switch track or turntable to allow for two trains. If Flash experiences any sort of downtime, it will not allow for a lot of riders. My biggest hope is that Great Adventure's ride operators are on the ball when it comes to getting people in and out of the Flash. The ride queue does feature the double-sided lockers, just like El Toro, so with people not having to put items into bins in the station, ops will be sped up a little bit at least. Flash is my first Super Boomerang, and so it feels fresh and unique, and it was a blast to ride. For those reasons, I'm giving the Flash vertical velocity at Six Flags Great Adventure a final score of 8.5 out of 10. I would love to see more of these pop up at other parks. The compact layout is great for parks looking to fill small areas or parks looking for a high-quality, less expensive ride. As far as boomerangs go, I would have to say that this is probably the best the world has to offer. It is the best boomerang I have ever been on by far. When it comes to the potential of Super Boomerangs being cloned in the future, similar to the way that traditional Vekoma boomerangs have been cloned, that could cheapen the ride experience, in my opinion. When I see boomerangs in parks, I generally ride them for the credit, not for the enjoyment. Flash is a great ride, so if more Super Boomerangs are built, I will gladly ride them. My hope is that Vekoma and parks work together to alter elements each time a new iteration is built so that the model can remain diverse. Oh, and let's make sure they have turntables and 2 cars in the station so the capacity is not horrible. And that brings us to the end of this 2025 coaster review. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Flash vertical velocity at Six Flags Great Adventure. If you liked what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, keep on coasting.